Welcome back to the podcast. Today we'll be talking about Harry Potter, the Goblet of Fire, and all the Triwizard Tournament tasks. Dragon, the what?
The
The lake,
and the
the maze.
Welcome to the Junior Librarian Podcast. This podcast is written for kids, by kids, to help them learn more about the Wagnalls Memorial Library.
Okay, so dragon. What's dragon?
That's the first task. Pretty much, you gotta fight a dragon and try and get this golden egg. Surprisingly, really loud for an egg.
The egg is
Yeah.
loud?
Yeah.
It tells you very weird riddles, kind of. Ish.
Do you have to guess the riddle?
Not really. You just have to
Just
put it
have to-
underwater and it talks.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that important? To get the egg
So
underwater?
you can figure out what the second task is.
Oh. So does the egg underwater tell you what the second task is?
In a riddle-ish way, yeah.
Yeah.
A riddle-ish way. So once we get to the second task, what's the second task?
You go under a lake and you have to rescue people from the mermaids. They're not Ariel type of stuff.
They are horrifying. That's not like Ariel who goes, oh.
Oh. So they're more like sirens. They're like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. And you
And
got to do all that in an hour or two. Not the dragons, just the lake.
just
Yeah.
the
In
lake.
the second test, you got to do that in an hour.
But Harry also rescues the other person's person.
Yeah. Yeah, that person's person.
Now, from the mermaids and the lake, you go on to the third task.
Yeah, that's just
That's-
this big maze that is literally trying to eat you. Yeah. Carnivorous plants.
Carnivorous
Not like the
plant.
Venus flytrap. They are actually trying to eat you, not your finger.
Then at the middle, there's the trophy. But when Harry and Cedric got in this big fight about who got the trophy, and then they both took it and they got teleported into a graveyard.
So let's say them both taking it was a big mistake.
They paid the
Because then
consequences
Cedric
for that.
died.
Yeah.
Yeah, Voldemort
Yeah.
just went up and went pew and killed him.
Oh my. So they wind up in the graveyard. Do they escape the graveyard?
Eventually.
Yeah, but Cedric isn't really alive. But Harry does. Because he's the main character.
Yeah. Main characters never die.
Technically, Peter Pettigrew, using Voldemort's wand, kills Cedric. And then Peter Pettigrew puts Harry's blood in a cauldron with the little Voldemort, helpless guy Voldemort version.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other random stuff that somehow makes him come back to life. He just gets a bunch of clothes out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
And he also gives Peter Pettigrew a silver hand that eventually chokes him to death.
Yeah. But he was the bad guy.
He was.
So it's
He
not.
was
that-
also the rat.
He's also the
literally.
bad. Yeah, literally.
So is this like your favorite part of this book?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's exciting. I like it. Because I like it.
Because I like it.
it. I have no reason. I just like it.
Do you have anything else to say about the tasks? Were you surprised?
Yeah.
Tell me how you were surprised. What did you expect to happen?
Cedric not get killed at the very end of the third task.
Ooh.
And basically everything else that happens.
Yeah, that's how Harry Potter books are. You expect this one thing, and that one thing happens, but then a totally different other thing happens based on that one thing. And then someone
Actually
dies
can't
at the
figure out- Yeah, exactly. Every book, somebody dies at the end.
Yeah.
Every book.
And then a lot of people get angry.
And then a lot of people cry and a lot of people go, oh, when they see the person dies, and that's kind of how it, and then it's all super dramatic after the person dies. Like they have a really dramatic death.
They do.
They like fall to the ground so dramatically.
Yeah. Takes them like at least a minute to like announce their
The
death,
ground.
and then it takes them a full other 5 minutes to fall to
The
the
ground.
ground.
I'm going to ask you the following question. I want to ask you about this. If you had to pick one character, could be good or evil, which would be your favorite because of how he or she ends up?
Like in the fourth book or just the entire series?
The entire series.
Oh, totally Luna Lovegood.
Say it again.
Luna Lovegood.
Okay.
What?
Totally. Why?
Because she's a Ravenclaw, and I like Ravenclaw, and she's cool. She's cool. I don't know what
I'd say, honestly, Hermione Granger, because I've only watched her first movie, so I'm kind of the noob here. So I guess I like Hermione Granger because she's like my friend Avery.
Wait, but-
Strong, well, 75% of the time angry. Yes. There's lots of memes on her. I'd say maybe Harry.
How come?
Not all of them.
All of them. If you had to pick one for how the
No,
character
yeah.
ends up. If you had to pick one for how the character ends up, which one would you pick?
Albus.
Albus.
The
Why?
kid
Why? Tell them why.
who doesn't get killed. He's the one person that doesn't get killed.
Or nothing bad actually really ever happens to it.
What about the owl?
Hedwig?
Hedwig?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was
Yeah.
so sad.
That was sad.
If nobody else is going to say it, Hagrid.
Oh, yeah.
The big, tall person with the beard.
Half giant. Oh, the guy wants to keep 50 dragons as a pet, even though he lives in a wooden cottage.
What?
Oh, yeah, the guy with the golden little like dragon thing. Norbert.
Norbert.
How come you like him?
Norvin.
He's
Poor
funny.
man.
And I don't know. He's funny.
He doesn't die.
Oh, he does.
A good
not.
reason to
He
like any
almost
character.
dies 4 times.
He almost dies like at least once every book, but he ends up alive.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Because
This is
he's
like-
like the main character's best friend.
I thought that was. I
Oh,
thought that
never
was
mind.
like the guy that looks like you. And like that's everyone. Everyone is Harry Potter's friend except for Draco. That's it.
Except for
Draco.
everybody in
But-
Slytherin.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
Draco still ends up alive.
What about the Voldemort?
Well, Draco ends up good.
What about the Voldemort guy?
Well, yeah, he's the major. You know, Voldemort is my favorite character. If I have to say why he ended up, because he just disintegrates.
Oh,
Disintegrates. Just like his clothes came on in thin air, his body just goes out in thin air. And there's nothing left of him.
That
Didn't he
the
still
one
live
word.
some-
I just
No.
no, that was the last.
Well, I thought he
one.
like was one of the teacher's back face.
No, that was the
the
squirrel in the
first book.
first
Oh,
one.
okay.
He dies in the last book.
Finally,
Oh,
The last
I
book
thought
is the
he
most
died in the first
overrated.
No.
The last book is so sad. Everybody died.
Yeah.
The
last book, like in the last chapter. Why not everybody? It may as well just be. Oh, hey, guess what? Everyone else except for like one person is gonna die. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, that's basically the last chapter.
Okay, so if you have one more thing to say about Harry Potter in the form of your 2 last words on Harry Potter, what would they be?
Molly Weasley.
Why?
Probably because in the near the end of the 7th book, Bellatrix Lestrange and Ginny Weasley are dueling, and Bellatrix hits Ginny with a spell, and Molly Weasley just destroys her. She turns her to stone and then disintegrates her.
Yeah.
So what would your last 2 words on Harry Potter be for this episode?
Remus Lupin.
And why would you want to talk about that one?
Because he doesn't really get mentioned a lot in like all of the Harry Potter stuff. He never really gets mentioned, and he's kind of cool.
Why is he cool?
He got bit by
Senior Greyback.
Greyback, so he turns into a werewolf. He eventually left Hogwarts because of it. Then he had to marry someone who he didn't want to marry. Yeah.
How about you? What's your last 2 words on Harry Potter for this episode?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Okay. So why do you mention Harry Potter here? Because you know what? You haven't talked a whole lot about Harry in this episode, have you?
Not really.
What
Mhm.
the whole theme of this?
Exactly.
The books, not the person.
Not
Well,
the person.
He does a lot of good things that are pretty much just luck.
Yeah.
He says that in the 5th book. Everything he does is just lucky.
Very
Like,
good.
everything that happens to him is just pure luck. It's like pure luck and 1% skill. Maybe not even that.
0.001%.
So you're saying Harry has 0% skill?
Exactly.
Yes.
She proved my
The
point.
crowd says yes.
I think you might get some pushback on that. I think people might say, hey, that thing you said about Harry Potter, not so sure.
We stick with our word.
You stick with your opinion.
Harry's luck mostly comes from Hermione setting it up so that he would get lucky.
Yeah, that is true. And then Ron is always the sacrifice.
Ron's the sacrifice. Who they don't want him to die, but he's always the one
He's the bait.
that they sacrifice. And
He's the bait.
He sacrifices
and
himself.
then he leaves. He sacrifices himself.
In the first book, he sacrifices himself, and Hermione was like, no.
I don't know why he would do this.
So they could win the chess game and destroy
Oh,
Quirrell,
the chess-
who had the Voldemort on the back
giant
of his
chess
head.
game.
I'm horrible at chess.
I'm not that bad.
Wait, how did this become more Harry Potter to chess?
He is,
Because of the giant
is
chess
Ron-
that they had to get to kill Voldemort and Quirrell.
but Voldemort still doesn't die.
He doesn't.
Because he's Voldemort. He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
You can't have a 8-book series and then just have the evil dude die
in the very
very first book.
Good, it was near the end of the first book.
It was still in the first book. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time.
Well, that concludes today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little more about Wagnalls. Bye.